Great. So I have a question. How can strategies be useful workarounds for executive function, which can be a challenge for patients after a brain injury?
Yeah, that's a great question. So thinking about what strategies can be most effective for thinking about executive functioning after brain injury, it's probably one of the top areas that people that come to see us present with, as well as memory difficulties, or certainly one of the top areas that is impairing functioning. And I know there's lots of different categories to think about and lots of different areas, and it's all of it is really just about thinking about what's something in this task that can be simplified or automated. Or actually, indeed, that I can hand over to something else or someone else to make me more likely to be successful. So let's take time management as an example. You could, if you really wanted to, you could manage your time just by every now and again going and checking the time, deciding what was next, just kind of living your life that way, maybe even but actually a far better way would be maybe to have a diary and maybe plan out what you have to do in your day so that it makes sense. So you think to yourself, okay, that report that's going to take me an hour to read, actually let me give myself 2 hours for that in the morning because I know I can be quite tired afterwards, and it gives me that flexibility. So you can use it that way of just kind of planning it out. That's a strategy of using a diary and a planner. You might also want to use a timer, just as a give you a reminder. Again, like my office is full of these various timers and things, just to give you some sense of, okay, I'm going to do 20 minutes on this, and I'm going to set myself a timer so I can really focus, because otherwise what happens, you end up clock watching throughout the 20 minutes and going, is it 20 minutes yet? So you can just, again, let the timer do its job, sit back and focus on what you want to be doing. So memory strategies. There are so many of these. It's a whole kind of conversation in itself. But strategies include things like checklists, writing stuff down. If it's really important stuff that you really, really cannot miss, maybe telling a trusted other so that they're able to help you with that. It's so great now because we basically have memory aids in our phones, don't we? That we've got them with us all the time. I put as I said earlier, everything in my life goes into my diary, and it goes in instantly. So I'm like, as I'm doing it, I'm talking, I'm like, just a sec, I'm just putting in, because I know I can get off that call and my attention's gone and I will just completely forget to put it in there. So another good strategy, I think, is doing things at the time, in the present, while it's in your mind, wherever possible, because I think it eliminates that kind of distraction getting in the way, which is, it's really common, but actually, far worse if you're just trying to focus on other things as well and getting on with your day. So those little mobile phones as well, they're just looking at mine now, they act as your planners, your organizers. It's about kind of thinking about, do I need other strategies? So my colleagues sometimes laugh at me. I'm known as the lady of like hundreds of books. So I have like these little notebooks, all of different colors. I think this was last year's selection. And I use them because I need a different notebook for different things. So I know, okay, this is my supervision notebook. This is my future life planning notebook. This is my birthdays and Christmas notebook, whatever. And it just by doing that just helps me kind of organize myself. So it doesn't become overwhelming. I'm not looking for lots of information. I think color coding, using tabs, using post-its, like very old-fashioned, I'm sure, these days, but colors a really good way of organizing yourself. So I can't show you my diary, unfortunately, but I have it divided up into different sections of my life so that visually you can see what's going on. It's different. It's like blue for home stuff, a dark grey, a somber grey for work, so it's always very, and green for the gym. So things like that, and just, it's really nice. And actually it means, because I use a digital diary, when I'm on holiday, vacation, I can switch off my work diary and it disappears and I just look at the nice stuff. So it's like, not that work isn't nice, but yeah. So yeah, that's a really nice way of planning and organising, just making use of the stuff that's around you and just seeing, but actually, like I say, it might be an effort change. It might be doing something different to what you've done before. And it might be that before your brain injury, you didn't have to be that organised and you could live your life. And I'm not saying that anyone should have to, but it's going to put extra load on you and make it harder for you to do the stuff that's perhaps more fun and enjoyable. Goal setting. So I'm really, really interested in goal setting. It's another kind of area, I guess, that actually we'll come on to, probably talking a little bit more, I think, in one of these months coming forward. I'm hoping you guys will do a bit more detail on that. But it's about, again, prioritizing, thinking about the future and thinking about goals as not only big endpoints, but actually all the incremental stages to getting there. So we kind of try to think about SMART objectives as being the kind of steps towards something. And I know we're going to have a good long chat about that at some point, but I think you guys do a great job on goal planning, so I think we'll come back to it. Impulse control, I think, it's about thinking about where people present in terms of impulsivity. The sorts of things that people say that they find difficulty with is things like shopping purchases or saying things that they didn't mean to say in a conversation, or having deep regret, and the best way really a good strategy, I guess, is to really think and plan before you have those conversations. I think if you've got a conversation coming up, maybe rehearse it, take notes, maybe again talk to a trusted other just to make sure you're being clear and getting across what you want to communicate. If you feel that you kind of get trapped in like if you've got one of those phone calls where you're dealing with something you've ordered or something like that, or and you feel a bit under pressure and you're not quite sure, it is about having that confidence to actually kind of say, actually, this isn't the time for me to make this decision, I need to call you back. And actually, legally and morally, every company in the world should allow you to do that. There should never be any obligation. So it's about insight and awareness into it, and awareness of when it's more likely to happen in your life, and then putting in structures or safeguards just to create a bit of space. I guess the last one to really think when you're thinking about executive functions is about emotional control, and how easy it is to regulate your emotions when the parts of your brain that help you with that top-down emotional control perhaps aren't working as well as they should be. And it's also much easier for a lot of people to be overwhelmed, not only by the demands of the situation, but the environment and all the other things that come with it. And so I kind of think, emotional control, it's less about kind of management, and also really just thinking about when do I find myself in those situations when I'm losing control, and what can I do before to prevent myself from getting myself in those situations? Is there someone that I'm constantly getting into conflict with? Is there a situation at work or in my social life or my personal life that's constantly causing me a bit of emotional turmoil? What plans can I put in place in order to manage it? And then obviously we as psychologists, we like to help people be able to have strategies for what they would do in the moment. And again, that's a whole nother discussion, but it's something I'm very interested in, and I do a lot of work around emotional regulation, using mindfulness, breathing strategies, anything that works and helps. Taking a break being probably a top one. I love time out to cool down or time out to chill out, I call it, the kids I work with, because time out should just be about having some space and time to calm. So that's a really good one, I think, just kind of saying, actually, this is too charged for me, I'm just going to have a break. So I think, does that kind of cover it? I think that covers kind of the most things you see within executive functioning. And I know that's a kind of whistle-stop tour through lots of, what strategies you can use, but I think it's about inviting people to think about what might be helpful, try it out and see if that's successful. And then if it isn't, you can modify it and change and try and do something different. But hopefully if it is successful, do some more of it and keep it going.